All right, today we're going to crack the code on the ACT. But we're not doing it with endless, boring drills. No, we are going to arm you with a strategic vocabulary, the exact language the test uses to build its questions. This is all about thinking smarter, not just studying harder.
I mean, seriously, what if mastering just 15 keywords could totally change the game for your ACT score? This isn't about memorizing the whole dictionary. It's about understanding the specific, tactical vocabulary the ACT uses to frame its logic, its arguments, and yeah, even its traps.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll dive into the language of the test itself. Then, we're going to build 3 specific toolkits: words for tearing apart arguments, words for understanding the big picture, and words for action. And finally, we'll talk about why this stuff matters long after you've handed in that test.
You know, the thing about the ACT is it's not just a test of what you know, it's really a test of how you think. And these words are the building blocks of the logic that the test is built on. You master them, and you've basically found a secret weapon.
All right, first up, our toolkit for analyzing arguments. These are the words you absolutely need to deconstruct claims and weigh the evidence like a detective on a case. So let's get right into it. First, we have plausible. So what does that even mean? Well, if something is plausible, it sounds right. It seems like it could be true. It has that logical feel on the surface. For example, if a student's explanation for some weird data point was plausible, the teacher would probably accept it. It sounds reasonable, so it passes that first gut check.
Okay, now this is a big one. The ACT absolutely loves to play with the difference between substantiate and corroborate. They both have to do with evidence, but they are not the same thing. Think of it this way. To substantiate is to lay the very first brick for an argument's foundation. To corroborate is to add a second brick on top to make that foundation even stronger. So when you substantiate something, you're basically bringing the receipts, right? You're providing the initial proof for a claim. A question might ask you to substantiate your argument with data from the passage. That means you need to build your case from the ground up using the cold, hard facts in front of you.
Corroborate, on the other hand, is all about backup. The claim is already there, and now new information comes along to confirm it. It's like an eyewitness who corroborates a story. They didn't invent the story, they just showed up and made it a whole lot more believable. And wrapping up this first toolkit, we've got ambiguous. Oh, this is a huge one. An ambiguous statement is fuzzy on purpose. It's unclear, and the ACT loves to use this to create those tricky trap answers. They want to see if you can spot that uncertainty. Being able to recognize ambiguity is like your shield. Okay, let's zoom out of it. We've been looking at the nitty-gritty of arguments. Now let's talk about grasping the big ideas. This second toolkit is all about the words you'll use to identify the core concepts and the main themes in the passages you read. First up in this toolkit is ubiquitous. It sounds fancy, but it just means it's everywhere, all at once. Just think about the example. In the modern world, the internet has become a ubiquitous tool. It's so common, so everywhere that we barely even think about it anymore. That's the definition of ubiquitous.
Okay, synthesize. The ACT loves to see if you can do this. This isn't just about reading one thing and understanding it. It's about taking bits and pieces of information from multiple places, like maybe a reading passage and a chart, and combining them to create a new, bigger understanding. It's a massive critical thinking skill.
Next up, paradigm. Now, a paradigm is more than just an idea. It's like the entire framework for how we see something. Think of it like the operating system for a field of study. It's the set of rules and assumptions that everything else runs on. And this slide just illustrates it perfectly. A paradigm shift. Think about it. We had the old model, landline phones. Then, boom, a new invention, the smartphone. This didn't just replace the old phone. It created a whole new paradigm of being constantly connected. The entire model for communication shifted under our feet. When something is the absolute perfect example of a quality, we say it epitomizes it. It's the best of the best. For instance, an incredibly elegant and simple solution to a super complex problem, that could epitomize deep understanding. It's not just a good example, it's the example. You are going to see hypothesis plastered all over the science passages. I guarantee it. A hypothesis is just the starting point of any discovery. It's an educated guess you make based on a little bit of evidence. And then you design an experiment to try and prove or disprove it. It's the big question that drives everything else. All right, our final toolkit. This one is all about action. It's where the rubber meets the road, you know? These words describe how ideas go from just being theory to becoming reality, the strategies, the methods, and the attitudes that make things happen. So to disseminate something is just to spread it far and wide. The example mentions the media's role in disseminating news. It's like scattering seeds in a field. The whole point is to get the information out there to as many people as possible. Mitigate is such a great problem-solving word. It means you're trying to make a bad situation, well, less bad, to lessen the negative impact. So engineers might not be able to completely eliminate pollution, but they can develop new technologies to mitigate its impact on the environment, to make it less harmful. Now, precedent. This is so important for those history and social studies passages. A precedent is basically a past event that sets the rule book for the future. It's an example that guides how similar situations are handled later on. Think about how Supreme Court decisions set legal precedents for years to come.
Okay, let's talk attitude. Here we've got two polar opposites. A pragmatic approach is all about being sensible, realistic, what actually works in the real world. But a cavalier attitude? That's the opposite. It's dismissive, careless, like you just don't care. On test day, you definitely want to be pragmatic, not cavalier.
And last but not least, intrinsic. This means something that comes from within. It's a natural part of you or of a thing. Think about intrinsic motivation. That's not about getting good grades or winning an award. It's that genuine curiosity, that essential built-in drive to learn just for the sake of learning. And honestly, that's the real goal, right? So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Yeah, we've gone through 15 words, but this was never just about acing the ACT. This is the language of college, of the professional world. These are the concepts you're going to use to analyze, to create, and to succeed long, long after this test is a distant memory. Look, mastering these words, that's not the finish line. Not at all. It's the starting block. They are tools for thinking, for arguing your point, and for understanding the world on a much deeper level. So the real question isn't just about what score you're going to get. It's about what comes next. How are you going to use this toolkit to build your future?